Ali.
Hey, Marcin, how are you?
Is that how I say your name? You go by Ali
That's
or
correct. Yeah, how do I pronounce your name?
Marcin,
Marcin. Okay, great. And you're Polish originally, right?
originally from Poland.
Yeah, very cool. Nice.
Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for Bradley for connecting us.
Absolutely. Bradley is one of my favorite people, so I'm grateful that he connected us for sure. How do you know him? How do you guys know each other?
So right now, we're working on a global village construction site. We're starting an apprenticeship to teach people
Yes, I
to
saw.
change the
Very
world for a
cool.
living. He offered two scholarships to people from Canada. He's helping to recruit them. He's taking me to flying me up to Canada to this high school to recruit. Amazing. That's
Amazing.
coming next week.
That's so cool. I love change the world for a living. By the way, I think that's a really nice tagline. We can
Yeah.
come
Well, you
come
have
back to
to.
that. Yeah,
We build houses 2 days a week to pay for it. It's kind of how
it's
we
great. And where is it going to be? Where's the startup city
started.
going to be?
Startup village in
Startup
Maysville,
village. Yeah.
Missouri, close to Kansas City.
Okay, yes, in your TED talk. So is this where you have your farm as well, the same
Yeah,
place, or?
yeah, yeah. Maysville,
Yeah,
that's the place. Yep, center of the universe.
very cool. Okay.
Not known yet. No, I mean, look. The way I look at it is, if I cannot change my own backyard, you know, I'm not doing anything. So this is Trump country,
Yeah,
Missouri. I mean, and we've got different ideals, and if this stuff works, when it works, I mean, hey, it's got to work here. It's got to work to be replicated anywhere in the world. So
yeah.
we've got ambitious plans to replicate this many times over across the globe. In fact, the number is 100,000, more than
Okay, amazing.
McDonald's. But we have to
Awesome.
show that it's here and show a real economic impact, show the
Yeah.
whole human transformation side. Yesterday I ran into NLP, so I see Leviathan. Leviathan
Hmm.
sounds like NLP, applied NLP. Like how do you take the construct of the mind that's there right now and change it to a different thing? So I
Yeah.
just ran into that, and but I noticed that I've been doing that for years now, like really practicing NLP on myself in terms of changing the out. Here's what is, and sublimate that to
Hmm.
this is the future, and that gets me excited. So that's where
Awesome, man. Awesome. Very cool. Well, I mean, what you're doing is very, very exciting for me, especially because I've been in the systems change world, as a communicator, as a, theorist, in the more abstracted realms. And I'm very increasingly interested in real world impact, building things. That's not my skill set, but I'm so glad that you're doing it because it's what needs to happen. That bridge needs to happen, just like the bridge between new social ideas and policy and institutional change. All of these things need to start coming together. So for me, it was really refreshing, to see what you're up to. So very cool.
I'm doing it. Let's do it together. We believe
Mm,
in integration.
amen. Beautiful. So I have a bunch of questions for you about the school, right? Like, about the what you need, like the launch of the school, the recruitment, because that's what you said is the main communication challenge at the moment, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say that. So you've seen the
Yeah.
TED Talk and stuff before, but
Mhm.
right now
Yeah.
it's I have been pretty much down Periscope the last 2 years, finishing up the product, working on product, and when I emerged, like my social media was like zero because I haven't really participated a lot. So basic, I mean, the scammy stuff on Facebook and all that, like all that stuff where you know we're the product thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like starting from zero in some way. Um, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's starting to take off. Actually, just some starting to reach out to other contacts. We've got in the press page lots of contacts there from
Great.
former history, hundreds.
Great.
One of
Yeah.
them is
Yeah.
Joshua Pierce, a professor at Western, and he's invited me to be a visiting fellow at Western, developing another branch of OSE over there and collaborating
Amazing.
hardcore on the open source stuff. He's a real hardcore open source guy teaching at a university. He's talking, his group acronym is FAST, but he talks about how open collaboration just slashes through the barriers of rapid development. So
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, I'm getting off
That's
here, but
great, man.
go.
That's there's a whole book I'm reading right now about from quite a mainstream book from Ezra Klein and another
Oh,
author
yeah,
talking about the
abundance.
the just basically how innovation is frozen in the States, especially. But I think it's the same bureaucratic. That's what the Leviathan is really. It's this partly what it is. One expression of it is this hyper abstraction, hyper bureaucracy, disconnecting everything from its actual source into ever more convoluted realms of abstract theory and processes. So that part of that book is about that, really, about
Can I ask you
the
this though? Because we nail it down to what's the missing ingredient, what kind of mindset is required for that. To
yeah, yeah, yeah,
us,
yeah.
it's summarized in collaboration, open collaboration.
Yes, but what is it that gets in the way of collaboration? And I would say a lot of things, but that's the thing I'm really interested in. One of the things I'm interested in, and I think you know we have to have a shared story and a shared sense of reality to some degree to be able to collaborate with one another. And so I think the systems we have right now disrupt that quite intensely. The mindsets we have right now disrupt that. The systems come from the mindsets. That's my theory of change. Um, but that's it's a big, interesting question. I noticed it in your email about this as that being a big challenge, right? It's like, how do you get that truly collaborative mindset? What you're doing, I think, it makes it easier in the sense that you have a common goal, you have a common shared vision of change, and then I think there'll probably be an element as well of deep inner work that's needed, for 24 young people or whoever else is coming on board to really understand the deeper elements of what is collaboration really.
Can I ask one back? You mind if I record this for the rest of our
Oh
time?
yeah, actually, I was going to suggest the same. Please do. Yeah, yeah, that'd be great. I'd
Yeah.
love.
Okay.
I think I'm the host. I'll record it and I will send you the audio file in case you want to transcribe it. Or I'll send you both the files. Yeah, because I usually like to
Okay.
transcribe.
So let's talk about fear, reptilian brain, and it's as simple as fear of survival. That's called
Hmm.
material survival. That's the level we're working on. Now, it's the chicken and the egg. Where's the brain? Where's the abundance mindset that conquers that? It's a thing you cultivate. That's what we teach in our program. So the explicit focus is here. We're going to teach people to design and build just about anything,
Hmm.
to understand all the architectures of civilization, including institutions and technology, so understanding the technosphere, and then learning how to collaborate, learning how to be an integrated human. And
Beautiful.
that's that level that we need to hit. But if you're not going to put bread on a person's table, forget about the ladder, is my conclusion is from the last 20 years of our work.
Mhm.
So we have to address the material security before we
Yeah.
go to the higher levels. And that's
Yes,
so.
I
What
agree.
is it? Okay, our latest model of change is jobs. We
Hmm.
give opportunities for people to do good work for a living. And that's how we change the world. So that's our learning. That's what we're acting on right now.
Beautiful. Okay, that's lovely. That's really nice and concise as well. So tell me a little bit about the bigger vision, right? So there's your initial vision has already been around for a few years.
Yeah,
Now there is the school, which is a
yeah.
new
Okay,
yeah. But where do you want it to grow? Because that will
yeah.
also
Great.
change the communication, right? Yeah.
2008 came up with a concept of the global village construction set. By
Hmm.
2018, I got pissed and I said, okay, 10 more years. Fuck it. We're going to do it. So now it's coming up. We got 4 years left. The goal is still the same. Now I think we can do it. So by 2028, finish up all the 50 core machines of the global village construction set. That's about $1 million a pop. That's a $50 million budget. We're done with about 2 million, 2 or 3 million. So in the
Hmm.
next few years, we need to capitalize all that resource and do it through the school. So we've got a revenue model of building homes to do that. So if you open source that, I just did a spreadsheet the other day. That's $11 trillion of the whole economy. That's quite a chunk, quite a
Hmm.
quite a addressable market size. So okay, we know that has huge economic potential, and that's what we tap in our work. Okay, so what do we do? For just to get specific, we just got 120 kilowatts of industrial power, and that's called photovoltaics. Okay,
Hmm.
how about we start melting steel or making concrete from rock, sawing lumber, all renewable. So we're generating huge wealth from that. We build homes. We establish a revenue model on that, which is essentially based on rapid collaborative builds, the swarm builds that I talk about. So
Hmm.
the 24-person crew can build each house in 5 days. That's the goal for the learning after the 4 years. Now I hope that some of the people get to that in 1 year, not 4 years. But okay, so there's the open sourcing the global village construction said by 2028, and then after that to distribute or open source the entire economy. That's about a $50 billion package.
Mm.
That's our goal, and I think that can happen within 10 years, 12 years actually, 12 years.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. I mean, there's a huge. I mean, I'm just thinking about it in terms of the communication potentials, and I mean, building a house in 5 days. That's an open source design. That's a huge story, right? For national and international media, and that will be, that may well be one of the most important ways to hit your goals and to grow, is to get to figure out, to hone the story in a way that the mainstream can understand, which isn't that hard from what you're doing, because there's a lot. It taps into a lot of concerns: housing crisis, jobs. It taps into a lot of things people already have a connection to.
Yeah.
And then there's the deeper aspects of it. That's an equally important aspect of, basically the deeper aspects. Usually with something like this, one way to do it is that for the mainstream, you have, hey, there's a housing crisis. Yes. We can build a house in 5 days. Look at this new model. This is free. This, as in, like, it's open source. It's linked to freedom. It's way more efficient. Like, exciting, amazing. Okay, great. Get people on board. And then as they come into your world, then they start getting that deeper philosophy, right? And so there's this kind of, like, it's about structuring the communication so that there's a piece by piece that goes through. Now, there's an even earlier piece around figuring out, okay, how do you want to communicate to different audiences, and what are the things that are absolutely essential? What are things that, so these are all just giving my initial thoughts on that, are kind of coming in.
And yes, gradually we inject more and more beauty into it. Right now we already have 6 kilowatts of PV on the system and super efficient appliances, all that kind of stuff, which is what you associate with like elite housing. But here, this is because of our efficiency, we're able to do that right now.
Amazing.
So 6 kilowatts of PV is standard on each house. The small house, it will be 12 kilowatts on the bigger house that we're going to build next. So already that's there. Next step is actually all off-grid capable, in the sense that heating and cooling is the largest load, and we can do that by heat pumps and storing cool or hot in water. And that's like a total no-brainer. I know the economics behind that. It's doable. Do we have the balls to do it, or the energy to actually integrate it into the house? Because it's kind of a bold proposition, because they also have to explain it to people. No. I mean, it's about how you communicate it. Nobody has to even know about it. All we got to say is that, oh yeah, now you can run this all off the PV, because we designed the heating and cooling to be doable all by PV.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, those kind of messages are really important, and they sit sort of in the communications stack. I'd say they sit further down than the big story of, like, join a movement is a major one, right? Join a movement, transformation, freedom, and then also innovation. All these. So it's about kind of communicating those pieces, and then underneath them, there's different messaging that people can go, okay, tell me more about the innovation. Oh my God, that's really cool. Question: who are the end clients for the houses you're building? Is this in Missouri? Is it elsewhere? Is
Open
it like
market anywhere in the U.S.? Mm-hmm. So right now we're building around. We've got several lots around the area. We got enough lots for 8 houses right now. Now we can travel anywhere, so that's the customers. That's just the open market, Zillow. But the real people are the people participating in the apprenticeship, because that's our workforce. And by the way, the other thing about the apprenticeship is, because it is extremely hard to find the talent for this, because you're talking about integration of skill set plus mindset. The only way you're ever going to achieve that is by open collaboration and teamwork, by the open collaborative process that allow you to learn more faster in a group, collaborative, and developing rapid learning methods while we're at it. So we're innovating on a lot of different fronts here. But it's all necessary, and it's part of complex systems thinking.
Absolutely,
convergent
yeah.
research, right? You heard the word convergent research?
Hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's convergent collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah, I like
Not the
that.
singularity, but the collaborative singularity.
So, okay, that's, I mean, the vision I'm totally with you on. It's exciting.
Yeah.
I would like to see it happen. And
Okay.
what is, what's your main, like, what do you need the most in terms of what I can help with and communications challenges right now? Like, what are the, 1 to 3 things that are the most pressing that you need to solve, the problems you need to solve right now?
24 people in the program September 1. And that is to
Okay.
communicate and make this message compelling. There's, on the physical side of backing that up, is the campus build up here. So we're under construction. And part of the challenge is that we don't have those structures yet. So this is, I can't say, oh, look at our amazing facility. But we've got a lot of the machines from before. We've got some facility from before. That's how we did it all. A lot of it is basically, it's like a rocket ship taking off. A lot of the stuff that we built, we deconstructed or reused the parts and all that. So it's constantly under construction and experimental. So there's not much to see. And now we're turning a new page where we're shifting to, instead of machines, we're shifting to homes. But it's really an integration of the two, because the machines, for example, we were building our own tractors or sawmills or augers or bobcats or telehandlers to do the construction with. We do the same. We've already, like this house, well, most of the houses on our facility here are actually made from compressed earth blocks. So we've done
Cool.
that already. We've done 3D printing. We're going to get back into 3D printing for construction materials and all that, while recycling waste plastic and all that. So it's a whole package. It's the biggest thing is the complexity of it, but the bottom line is 24 people, September 1. May not
Okay.
happen. We might start with less. But
Yep. Yep.
and
But you need as many yeah. Okay. As close to that as possible.
right,
As
close.
close.
Now,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
initial thought is I ain't starting until we get 24, because that's how you get the magic of collaboration. And since I met some of the first candidates, Charles, others, I said, no, these people are hungry. We want to do it. They're exciting. They've got the notions. We can build it up, and we'll do it together.
Yeah. This probably makes sense, right? So tell me a bit about them, because I want to get a sense of the audience of this 24. Now, you said
Mm-hmm.
high school, right? And how young is young person? Like,
18
what's
to
the range?
24, ideal. Why?
Okay.
Because they cannot have a destroyed mind yet. So you know the figures. 2 years, 98% of the children 2 years old are divergent thinkers. By the time they're like 18 or something, 98% have lost it. There's only 2% divergent thinkers left. That kind of. We're addressing that. I want people who are open to learning abundance and the rigor that comes with it. So they got to be young enough. Ideally, they're not beyond college where they just want a job now. I want them to learn. This is about integrated learning.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's the audience. First guy, interesting, underutilized Walmart worker, self-educated, never went to college because he said that's BS. So that's the kind of level of independent thinking and this guy's brilliant. Man,
Cool.
he's
Okay,
already
that's
pushing
helpful. Yeah.
forward with theory.
How old is he?
25 or 26.
Okay, so he's a little.
That's on
That's
the upper end.
on the upper end, but he's still. I mean, it's it's
Yeah,
fine.
still,
So
he hasn't been indoctrinated too much.
yeah, so they're heterodox, they're divergent thinking, they're probably. I mean, they're
Grit.
such a strong. They've got grit. They want to join and be part of something that is actually shifting the system. Probably there's a sense of. I think there's a lot of opportunity you have to play with, join a movement. Like which it is in a way, right? So it's like,
It
but
is.
that needs to come across, I think. So I would say my initial read on what you sent
Ambitious.
through,
I like that.
ambitious,
Ambitious.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So my initial read on what you sent through is that you definitely need a new video for the school. You need to have all of the creative of that video needs to hit all those points. It needs to have that essence. It needs to be ambitious. It needs to be. I think it's already ambitious in the actual frame, but the style needs to be ambitious. It needs to speak to that audience. It needs to like. It needs to be that the people you want see it and they immediately get in touch because they're like, I need to
Yeah.
I need to do that. So the video you have right now is not going to do that. but we can make a video that does that for sure.
Excellent.
That's, I think, one of the first things you would need is you need that hero video that is actually getting them so excited that they're just like, where do I email? I need to know about this.
Hero them, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely want to give them a sense for sure. That's definitely one angle, is to give them a sense of like, I mean, ideal is if there's somebody who's already doing it, but this is the early stage of it, right? But you have the there's we need to think it through, but that's one thing I would say. Then the other and then a communication strategy of hitting your existing partners, like you've already mentioned a few others, like the Santa Fe Institute. I think would be
Oh yeah.
interesting. Just like, hey, do you guys have young people in your networks? Maybe
Oh
even their
yeah.
kids of people who work there. We create like a strategy of 50 organizations, for example, who would be willing to share the film on their social media, whatever, and then you get them to do the promotional work. You don't have to do paid ads. In fact, I would not do paid ads with this. I think that's a waste of money. You basically want to tap into these networks where you have the people who, hey, you know what? I know someone in the Santa Fe Institute is like, you know what? My cousin's kid is perfect for this.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
18, doesn't want to go to college, really smart, ambitious. I'm going to send this to them. But you need that thing to send it to them. It should be like 2 or 3 minutes long. It should really grab them immediately. And then right now, that's kind of what I would suggest. Really powerful hook film. And there's some communications and branding that needs to go around that as well. And one of the things is the brand architecture between where the school sits into the wider frame, and like basically where it sits in OSE, where OSE sits in the world. Like you already know all this, but it's about really communicating it very clearly. Like, we are trying to change the system for good. Like this, like all the mission that you told me, it's like I want them to see that. So they're
It
like,
has to be crisp. Like I can talk all about this, but without the proper presentation, this. Now the other thing, let me just mention the credibility, the believability. Every aspect of this is so unbelievable. For example, we're already offering 100K fellowships. Nobody signed up. I suck at communicating so far. Okay, so we have starting pay 95K for construction management track. That's unbelievable.
yeah,
I can learn that
yeah, yeah,
and get out of this. At 22, I'm going to be making 100K. Nobody does it. It's unbelievable.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I guarantee I will teach you those skills if you're willing to learn. So everything about this is rad, and in the open source part, we're building our own machines and all this stuff. It's so far out that I don't really know where to start.
I mean, in a way, it's like one of the things you can do is just you name like, this seems too good to be true, but here's how we did this, and like, you just get them
Exactly.
like, you just name it so that it doesn't, and then it's also just about how you communicate. I think if you communicate and get in front of the right people, then you're gonna not struggle to get the 24. I don't know if you get them all by September 1st. That's a little not so far away, because it's a commitment, right? That's the other
Oh
thing,
yeah.
is the time commitment.
Ah, yeah, yeah. So here's the thing: the real challenge right now is I don't believe you and I don't trust you for 4 years, but maybe give me something short. So already we're opening. Well, this is a huge life commitment. This is like bigger than going to college.
Yeah.
So okay. First of all, open up for 1 year. Second, open it up to at the very beginning a builder crash course. And the second thing is a 2 month thing that leads from the 2 weeks into another 6 more weeks. Build
Smart.
your own house that we truck for you back home on a trailer. Two 10 by 20 foot sections of the seed of the seed eco home. This is real. Just went through the budgets, through this basic design. We're gonna make it look like Olsen Kundig style. Do you know that architect by any chance?
No,
It's
no.
it's gonna look incredible. It's gonna be low cost, and you build it in 2 months. While we call it the financial independence package because it frees you from the biggest cost in your life, 640 square feet. So the way it's designed, those two sections, you span them with a roof, like pop-up house. You ever heard of pop-up house?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They span the roof in between two sections. So that way you get huge space from two
Very cool.
pieces that are only 10 by 20 feet.
That's very cool.
That gets you
Um,
640 up to 960 square feet as a starter home with with the systems built for expansion and vertically stackable, and also not like a little tiny bathroom for a micro house. This is like the full kitchen, full bathroom, so you can expand as your family grows. That's 2
Amazing.
months.
I mean,
Amazing.
it's awesome.
This is out of this world.
It is really cool. I mean, so, okay, so I mean, it's very exciting. So, how did you get? So, where does the funding come from? This, like, what kind of people have funded made this possible?
Well, I just opened up my third eye and attracted it. Okay, but no. So all through the
Teach me how to
history,
do that.
well, it's actually for real because never applied for grants. So latest we got 500K from 600K from Novo Foundation over the last 3 years. A friend contacted us to basically make the introduction, and they said, "Oh yeah, give me a." So we're looking for more funding from them. But beyond that, the thing we did was run workshops. We've done all these kinds of rapid build workshops, where, for example, you build a house like this house that I'm sitting in. We had a workshop to do that. 48 people participated, paid $500, and we built that in 5 days. The
Wow.
structure. We didn't finish the interior. Now we're capable of finishing the interior. That's what I spent the last 2 years on, perfecting that.
Wow.
This interior doesn't show it here, um, but we ran workshops. We did compressed earth block, tractor builds, where people pay a fee, and that's how we funded it. So we went from crowdfunding. We did a couple of Kickstarters. We went into the revenue model based on workshops, where you get the immersion build experience, and now this is open market production. So basically, productizing each of the things. The house is one of the 50 so-called
Okay.
machines.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but right now, it's the glory of that is if you understand the numbers, it'll the cost comparison for a starter home. It costs us 120K to build it. The industry standard is 180K. Now there's all kinds of other costs, but with that advantage, we are so far ahead that this revenue model can scale.
That's great.
If
That's awesome.
and imagine now accelerate that not being done in 6 months, but 5 days. So over a very advantageous model, we have the extreme time compression from 5 months to 5 days, 30x compression. So we talk about compression of build times. So that's
It's
how we're doing
amazing.
extreme radical productivity on a small
It's
scale.
amazing. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so great. It's yeah, it's really cool. Okay, so what? Um, I mean, what kind? Do you have a sense of what kind of budget you have to do? Say, if you wanted to do a new film, communication strategy. Do you have
A
a
budget that
that?
will get us 24 people by September 1 or close to it.
Okay. um,
Look,
okay. I
each
mean, what I can
person
do is
to me, each person is a $50,000 value that we attract,
yeah. Okay.
at least,
Um,
if they don't
yeah.
drop out.
Okay. Interesting. Um, okay. You also have to move a little bit fast
Oh yeah, we don't have
because
time.
yeah,
We
you
don't have
got
time.
it's May. No, it's actually almost June.
Yeah.
So, it's but like that's making a if I were to work on this and we collaborate, then I think, we can get a film. I don't want to commit to a specific time because it depends also on figuring out the right messaging and everything. But we're talking more like a month rather than many months, right? Like a month, we could have everything in place, I think, and then you'd have something to go
That
out
would be
with. That's definitely doable. Um,
that would be good.
yeah,
That would be good.
sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. Do you have any questions for me before I bombard you with more questions?
What kind of budget are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually kind of how long is a piece of string because it depends. I mean, for a decent film plus communication strategy,
Do you charge by the amount of time you took on it, or kind of by
no,
product?
I would generally do it based on. I mean, yes, to a degree, but I basically the way Kainos works, it's a little bit open sourcey. It's a decentralized agency in a sense. So there's me, and then there's all the people I work with normally to make films and do
Mm.
projects like this. And then I take in a project and I go, okay, what is it actually? I do the strategy side of it, like what does it need?
Yeah.
What's going to solve the problem? And then for say video production, I choose the best person for that for this particular project. If there's any kind of branding that needs to be doing, I have someone for that. And so, usually I would cost it up on that. It would probably be something like film plus strategy. It's probably something like £20,000, which is maybe $30,000 normally for something like that. Now, yeah, that's kind of where it would sit. There's ways to reduce or increase that depending on what you want to do, but that's kind of what I think we'd be looking at.
For a piece that's, you thinking 3 minutes, 5 minutes?
Yeah, I think it would be 3 to 5 minutes, but it wouldn't just be for the piece. I mean, look, if you just like basically the way I work is create a communication strategy that the piece expresses so that it's effective, and that's part of the work, and that then also applies to other places where you communicate. So there's the video is one place, but the communication, the strategy also lives in other places. It lives on the website, it lives on social media, it lives in the emails that you're sending to people. It lives everywhere, right? So
Are you including the actual outreach to say, whatever the 50 top venues that need to hear
yeah,
about it?
everything. So that would include doing a strategy of here are the places, here are the contacts, here's why we think you to get in touch. Like that would be everything in basically.
And you're executing on it. You're not leaving the execution to us. Like you
Uh,
got
we can I can
contact.
execute. We can certainly do that. Yeah, we can totally do that. We would probably want to get your contacts as well, so that we do a whole big campaign with it. Or you get in touch with them directly. You just let us know who you've already spoken to, so we don't overlap. That's the
Can you
main
place
thing.
us on podcasts?
That's not really my expertise, but I could probably find someone who can help with that.
But you got friends.
I got friends.
Who?
I got certainly got friends. I mean, like Jim Rott and people like Tim, Michael Garfield. Like, I can put in a good word, but I can't guarantee placement because it would be like me as as a two friends doing it. But there's also services who would do people I don't know or connected to and can do that. But that's not so my area. But you would need to get everything in place before you do that. Because as soon as you start doing that, you're going to have an increase in traffic, and you need people to see immediately when they land, this is what it's about, this is what it is, here's the amazing video, here's the branding, here's why I immediately after 2 minutes want to do this. So you need to have it all in place. Yeah.
And we do. I mean, you're not doing any of our website or anything like that. You're providing some assets like the
I
video.
provide assets, but we could, I could find a way to do that fairly easily. It's not that difficult. The main thing is the assets and the
Oh man,
design.
can you also get into, okay? Here's we got to really right now we're migrating servers, and we're beefing up all our infrastructure, and this is for okay, this is a call. This is basically all hands on deck. So meaning we have to set up a good forum kind of infrastructure. That is
Yeah.
missing. I don't even like the blog I have on the website. That's been there since 2008 or so. But is that the right thing to do? So actually, the strategy around the whole. Okay, here's the all hands on deck package. Can you help me with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Like we can, that just means me bringing in different experts around that. I think I'd have to price that. Basically, what would be really useful is to get a full list of everything you need, and then I can come back to you with a proposal, and you can go, yeah, need that bit, but no, that bit we do ourselves. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, I like
Yeah.
it. And at the very least, I mean, we're meeting. So how often do we meet and throughout this process? How does it look?
Quite a bit. I mean, I would want to have a bunch of sessions with you, probably another person who would be working on this, who's a branding and communications expert as well, called Al. And we would go through a process where we really unpack your vision and kind of and then we translate that into, okay, this is what this audience needs, and this is what the whole branding should be. It would be at least probably 3 extended Zoom sessions where we really ideally they would be in person if we can make that work. That's always much better, but Zoom also works. But we would really want to dive in to the ins and outs of it, and then probably we'd be in touch sporadically or semi pretty regularly over the course of a month to just really, it'd be a little bit of a deep dive, right? It'd just be like, we want to get into
Yeah.
your world and really understand it, and then it becomes our world in a sense, right? And then we can really translate.
How do you feel about doing this?
How do I feel about doing this?
Yeah.
Pretty excited. Like for me, this is exactly the kind of project I want to do. It was like, it's exactly the kind of project I want to do, because also because I would learn in the process. I've got
Oh
the
yeah.
communication skills and strategy, and that always forces you to get to the essence of something. But I find this very exciting, and I think this could be quite big. My hope would be that it becomes a good relationship and collaboration, and that we can do more stuff in the future. I definitely interview you on Kainos separately to anything, because I think this is really cool, and I would like, and dude, the message, the message of building a house in 5 days, open source, cheaper than the standard industry, rate for a starter house. That message already, that is dynamite. Like that we could package that as a PR strategy and go out with it. Like, we're just about figuring out the right time, but it's so powerful,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh man,
Yeah,
I'm loving it.
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah. It's
madly in
really
love
cool.
with everything here.
Good. It's always a good thing to hear. Um, so let me think. What I timing wise? Okay,
And let me
probably.
just tell you, I like the idea. Now we're reaching out. I think the critical audience for this is the expanded consciousness audience. It's not like the
Yeah,
survivalists, the permaculture people. None of that. It's the
yeah,
people
yeah,
who
yeah.
can see, who want to be on at the bigger picture and actually want to do it. Hmm.
You know what my book's called?
Leviathan. Oh
No, The
no,
Bigger Picture.
no, no, no.
My book
It's
is called The
called.
Bigger Picture.
My notes say, "Seeing the bigger picture."
Yeah, so no, I'm all about the bigger picture, man. Yeah, I agree. I think though it's expanded. This needs a little bit of thought, but my initial read is expanded consciousness with the overlap with the Burning Man maker community. It's sort of like they're both valid, and there's a kind of beautiful Venn diagram overlap between those two, where I think would be really exciting. You'd find those people who are really willing to actually collaborate, do the work,
Yeah.
get the vision. Yeah.
And I would shift Burning Man more to like Building Man. You ever hear that one?
No, no,
Well, it's
no.
like the critique of the Burning Man is you go in there to party and etc. But it's not. I wouldn't call it the place of creation. I mean, in some way it is, but it's missing. Um, it's
Yeah.
missing that other element where you're actually building useful stuff. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that part. So I'm critical of that because I'm seeing all these resources, just like imagine the entire university system or just a little bit of dedicated effort. I mentioned 50 Bs, $50 billion, to have an open civilization, meaning that anything that anyone does, like the most advanced stuff, space travel and microchips and all that, it's accessible to anybody. And then we're eradicating resource conflicts and resource scarcity and all kinds of evil stuff. The point being that with just a very tiny concerted effort, you can do great good if that's your intention. But right, but the missing link is the mindsets, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But
yeah,
mindsets can be, the thing is, minds can be changed,
yeah,
which is a good thing. It's easier to change minds than it is to change embedded institutions. That takes longer, but it's also, I think, that it requires changing the minds first. So yeah, great. Okay. So what I will do is, today's Tuesday. I'll send you a proposal through on Friday. With, okay, here's what we can do. Here's the different elements of it. If you can also have a think, perhaps sooner rather than later, if possible, about anything you haven't touched on here. Like, okay, you mentioned there's website requirements, there's some kind of community engagement, whether that's a forum, whatever else it might be.
yeah.
Anything else that is in the mix that I can think about would be really
I'll
good.
send you some stuff. I've got some. Are you a good visual thinker, like in diagrams and stuff, or
Yeah, somewhat. I'm more of a narrative thinker, but
okay?
send them through anyway. I can
Yeah.
figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good. Yeah.
Did
Um,
you have? You said you also had a bunch more questions. Do you have more questions, or that's kind of?
Let me just double check my list of questions. Do, 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 do. My main question was generally what we would call like brand architecture between OSE and the school, and then anything else. Obviously, the school. So what I mean by that is, so like the school sits within OSE, but there's a range of different ways to hold that, in the sense of, for example, it could be you could make the decision like, you know what, we want it linked to OSE, but just by a little, connection thread. We want it to really live as its own thing as well. Or you could say, we want this to be like an offering from OSE. We want people to come into the whole OSE network, environment, vision with it, or it could be between those things. So it's useful just to get an initial sense from you, like where.
So we're an education organization. We educate. We don't talk. We build. This school is a build of the first point of light community. The students get to do it. We're building this thing that can be replicated widely. It's generative in nature, so you're designing construction sets for everything. And this is combining, so this is work, this is study, work, life, it's complete work-life integration. And I can envision this like, if we have people who are capable of collaborating at scale, you're talking about designing anything over a weekend, the economic power of that is huge. So therefore, I look at it as an economic security community. This is your retirement plan.
Great.
You're building. You can build your own house. After you finish the program. Well, one benefit is you can build your house right away. You've saved the biggest cost in your whole life, as an example, right?
That's great. Yeah.
So things like, okay, we're serious about reinventing institutions. So what's a bank, right? So now you talk about extreme productivity, and then you can actually start coining money behind it in a way that doesn't do the fractional reserve, but you're really talking about backed currencies, cryptos, but a backed currency that comes from the wealth that you have right there that you can document openly through open source.
Yeah.
You can have you have the whole digital economy thing where people from remote can log in and use our machines to 3D print, to make things. So basically I look at it as the transformation is like Walmart or Amazon turned into on-demand production in-house. Each facility, each small-scale community is like that. And our question is, what's the smallest scale that an advanced civilization can survive at? And I'm saying it's about a square mile, I'd say, about 1,000 acres.
Okay, that's interesting.
And then, of course, you have constellations of these, so it's distributed. But the future, the way I look at it, like, what the hell is this open source economy? All I mean by that is distributed production, really. It's that knowledge is open, anyone has access to it, therefore unleashed economic productivity anywhere. You're leapfrogging anywhere.
Yeah, beautiful.
The wealth, specifics on wealth, I believe, so to address the meta-crisis singularity paradox, where the two sides are competing, well, the first principle facts are we've got 10,000 times more power from the sun than we use today. So without disrupting biological processes, you can tap, in my estimation, 100 times more energy. In other words, the entire world could be 100 times more rich because energy is resources. It's conversion of resources.
Yeah.
So you can have 100 times as many people on this planet, even. And I'm not proposing, but I'm saying the amount of wealth that can still be created in the Kardashev scale, on the Kardashev scale, you heard that term. It's
I've heard the term, I don't know well, but yeah.
It's the scale that says how much of the available solar energy you're using, and we're such a tiny fraction. The current economy uses such a tiny fraction of that which is available abundantly. In other words, 100 times the prosperity of today. So we're not talking about, like we could incrementally do something. No, we could knock out all kinds of scarcity issues out of the water. Everyone can be prosperous and collaborative and all of that. That's the kind of vision we have. So it's absolutely positive. And that's from first principles. That's just energy available.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
kind of thing.
Inspiring. It's great. Yeah, it's it's great. It's a lot of inspiring energy in it, which I think,
And like the goal is, hey, you do it. I mean, it's not me. It's like we're doing it. We're creating for everybody. So get the super cooperators on board. Not that get rid of the scarcity mindset, but then think about everyone can be brought up. That's the true notion of collaboration and growth mindset. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amen. Awesome, man. Okay, great. This is exciting. Send me through any stuff. I will get back to you by the end of the week, and we'll just go from there.
That's beautiful. All right. Thanks for your time. This is great. This is gonna be
Yeah,
awesome.
likewise. This is great. Cool.
Okay.
All right, dude.
Take
See you
care.
soon.
Bye bye.